Crafters, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky Paper Crafts. I posted a poll on my Facebook page on Wednesday to see what I should be doing today, and the choices were either a gift card holder or a treat box, and majority said gift card holder, so that's what we're going to be doing. I'm actually going to be doing two, one that is mailable and one that you can put on your Christmas tree. I'll be using the Delightful Tag Topper, the Warm and Toasty stamp set, pieces from the Brightly Gleaming Designer Series paper pack, and one sheet of very vanilla cardstock. I'm also going to be using my trusty Stampin' Seal. I've got some ribbon, a couple of colors of watercolor pencils, which you can use, or you can use a different coloring medium, or just leave it black and white, your choice. And as well, I'll be using Memento Black to stamp with. So let's do our mailable gift card holder first. So I have a sheet of 11.5 by 4.25 cardstock, which I have scored at 5.5 and 2 inches. The pieces of Designer Series paper that you're going to need for this one are 6 by 3.25, 2.5 by 4, and 3 by 3.25. So I'm going to put this off to the side, and I've already cut and scored my Designer Series paper. So the first thing that we're going to do is bring in our pieces that we're going to be using. I also have a tiny little scrap, which is 3/4 by about 1/2 inch or so. I haven't decided if I'm going to use this one or not. So the first thing that we're going to do is grab our seal, or snail seal. Oh my gosh, it's still early and I haven't had enough coffee. So I'm just going to run my adhesive down the side. And again, you can use any adhesive that you prefer. I really do love the Stampin' Seal though. It adheres really, really well. And it gives a tight, secure bond every single time. So I'm just going to bring this, center it onto my Very Vanilla. Okay, and then I'm going to come and do the inside flap. So I scored it at 2 inches. We're just going to run the adhesive on the very outside so that our gift card can slide in quite easily. I just had a gap one in my craft room, so I decided to use that one. If you want, you can make this piece just a little bit shorter, and then you're going to need to make your cardstock for the inside just a little bit different, and the piece on the outside will have to be cut a little bit larger as well. So I'm just going to do for the inside piece right on the very edge. Now you don't have to go directly top to bottom for this, because it is going to be used, but it will be a really super secure hold. Okay, so I've got that, and then my piece of paper for the inside that I cut, just to give it a little bit more interest, I scored at the same spot. I actually laid it over and ran my scoring blade from my Stampin' Trimmer over the top, just to make sure that it was going to close exactly the way that I wanted it to. So I'm just going to go and adhere this. You can also do this step before you make the pocket, whichever you prefer. It actually might be a little bit easier to do it before you make the pocket, just so that it doesn't stick where you don't want it to be. All right, and then I'm going to make sure that it's about halfway, and then I'm just going to give it a press down. So the other piece that we cut is going to be here so that it will cover up our raw edge. I'm just going to give it a run with the tape, another run with the tape. I love making gift card holders because they're so personal. I mean, you can get a whole lot of really cool patterns and designs at a store, but if you've got the supplies to make it yourself, why not? It's just that little bit of extra homey touch, and I think we all kind of need that this year. All right, so that's done. I'm just going to grab my bone folder and give it a bit of a burnish. Okay, so there's our gift card holder basically done. And I did test this cardstock first as well, just to make sure that if I wrote on it or when I wrote on it, you would be able to see. But if you would prefer, you can just bring in another piece of cardstock and lay it over top. And you can also decorate, actually. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So now we're going to decorate the front because it is pretty and I absolutely love this paper. I ordered 2 or 3 packages of it last year and I'm so happy that it came back. But I've already got my little tag cut. Actually, we'll see. Okay, so from the Warm and Toasty, I'm using the little mice with the ball. And I'll be using Sharing Christmas Cheer for this one. So I'm going to bring in my stamp block. Now I haven't used the mice before. So when I use something new or use a new stamp from a set, I like to prime it first. So I'm going to ink it up and then I'm just going to stamp it off onto my paper. Okay. And I'm going to get my ribbon to go to the left. So I'm just going to stamp this little guy. Now, I don't really care too much if their tails go off the paper. Give it a bit of a shift, press it, and that one is done. So I'm just going to move it off to the side. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Stamp and just check it out. Make sure that it's exactly what I want. And I'm going to put this guy there. Okay. So I'm just going to bring in my watercolor pencils and I'm going to give this guy just a bit of a color around his ears. You can do it whatever color you want because it's your project. I'm not going to be using my blending pens on this one just because it's a small area and it's fairly light. Do his little hand. I'm going to do her ears now and her face. How do you guys feel about coloring? Sometimes I absolutely love it. And then other times I could just take it or leave it. Now I do find sometimes too that coloring in a circular motion gives it a little bit more of a finished look. It's not quite so, you can't see the lines quite so easily. Okay, now I'm going to do her scarf. I have Night of Navy, which is one of the colors in the cardstock, which is why I chose it. So I'm going to do blue boots for this guy. And she's going to get a blue sweater. And I think maybe some blue boots for this one too. Okay, and Calypso Coral is one of my favorite flesh tone for the watercolor pencils. It's just a nice little pinky color. I might do a little bit of pink on her cheeks too. Okay, and Old Olive is another one of the colors that is in the cardstock. So his sweater is going to get colored with Old Olive. And I think I might do hers in Old Olive as well. And the ball, I think I'm going to leave as the very vanilla background, but every bow needs to be colored. Let's see, in Cherry Cobbler. Cherry Cobbler is such a pretty red. It's just that nice little pop of Christmas red. This actually reminds me of Charlie Brown's sweatshirt. All right, so that's done. I'm just going to bring in my ribbon here. And there's my scissors. Okay, I'm going to give it a trim. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use. Probably, that looks like a good amount. And there's a dimensional. They show up everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to actually double the ribbon, but I'm going to put it in and not cut it just yet. I'm going to feed it through the hole and just give it a bit of a tie. Oops, come on, fingers, work for me today. Now, when you're doing your cards, do things need to be symmetrical, or are you okay with things being a little bit offset? For me, it depends on my mood in the day. Okay, give that one tie. And it's not going to go anywhere, but I don't want the bow to unravel either. And this Night of Navy ribbon actually came from the Playing with Patterns ribbon combo pack. Okay, I'm going to flatten it out, and then I'm just going to line it up and make sure I'm going to cut it off so it's roughly the same length on all sides, or all pieces, I should say. Okay, and let's see. I'm going to pop it up on some dimensionals. Oh, this dimensional pack is empty. So all I'm going to do is grab my scissors, cut off a piece, and I'm just going to use the extra, or the outer edges, because they are totally usable. They're exactly the same material and quality as the interior foam pieces. I'm just going to peel that off, if it'll let me. Come on. There we go. All right, sharing Christmas cheer. Now this is a little bit longer than the envelope. It's not a big deal because all you need to do is tuck it in and lay it flat and it'll be fine. I think we need a little bit of bling. So these are the Peel and Stick Holiday Rhinestone Basic Jewels. And I did just notice too that I had a bit of an ink smear, which is not a big deal because all you need to do is bring in something to cover it up. Give my take your pick tool a bit of a twist to get the putty started, and I think we're going to go with just a clear ball. And sometimes just one adds just enough sparkle and shine to make it interesting. All right, so there's that card finished. Quick, easy, slide your gift card in, pop it into an envelope, pop it into the mail. Now we're going to go on to the one that you can hang up on your Christmas tree. So I'm going to be using the same designer series paper. I'm going to be using the same stamp set with just a different sentiment. And I've got a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece of Very Vanilla cardstock. And I cut out a second one and just cut it on the diagonal. So all I did was lined it up in the cutting gutter on my Stampin' Trimmer corner to corner and just ran a cut line down. So the assembly for this one is super easy. All you're going to do is take your Very Vanilla and adhere it, the half triangle onto the square. So for this one, all that I did, move this out of the way, was run, oops, get it started, run it down right to the corner. Run it down, and again on the other side. Going to bring in a scrap piece of paper to lay over the tape so that I don't get things stuck together. And then you're going to line it up corner to corner. And then just give it a press down. So this piece right here, is where your gift card is going to sit. Okay, so now we're going to decorate it up. And I've cut one of the pieces. It's 4 by 4. So I'm going to attach that one to the front. Give it a run. I love these too because they can be used year to year. You can just tuck in a little personal note into the back and then save it, or the person that you give it to can give it to somebody else the following year. Or they're quick and easy enough and use not a whole ton of material so that you can actually just make a whack of them and be done. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece, which is so 4 1/4, 4 inches, and this one is 3 1/2. Yeah, this piece is 3 1/2. So I'm just going to run my tape on this one. Turn it, run my tape. And again, just center it the best that you can. Now, you're going to flip it over, and you can put the coordinating side of the cardstock down, or you can use the same side as you used on the front. I think I'm going to flip it over and use the other side. Right. Sorry, momentary confusion, but it's all good now. Okay. Sometimes if I have a piece of cardstock that I've made a slight mistake on when I'm cutting for bases, I just flip it around to be scrap paper. Okay. So there you go. And this is just an extra piece. I keep some non-Stampin' Up cardstock handy too, just when I'm trying different projects and different ideas. I don't want to be using my Stampin' Up cardstock to experiment with. Okay, so we've got the back, or the front, and the back done. So our card is just going to stick there. And if you wanted to, you could decorate this piece as well. I think I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. I was just looking to see what else was in the stamp set, if I can use it to stamp a background, but I'm just going to leave it the way that it is. Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to decide what I wanted to use next. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the punch, and I'm going to show you how I did the tag. This punch actually has 3 different sizes. It's the Delightful Tag Topper, and you can cut it at 2 inches, 1.5 or 1 inches. So you can get 3 different size tags out of one punch, which is fantastic for using what you have. And you can actually flip and do both sides of the card if you'd like. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this, because this piece is a little short. It can be a little tricky to get into the punch. So all I did was I put a piece of sticky note in, which will allow me, once I can't really get it in any further, it'll allow me to manipulate it if it's crooked or if it's not exactly where I want it to be. So when you do your punching, you want to make sure that the edge of your punch goes right to the edge of your paper. I usually give it like a little bit of a push through first, just to make sure that my paper is not going to move. And then I push the entire way. Now to take it out, all I need to do is grab this end and you're good to go. All right, so I'm just going to move my gift tag off to the side. You know what, maybe I'll use the little polar bear for this one. I haven't used him yet. The only ones that I've inked up on this set so far are the big bear and the reindeer. He's actually the reason I got this set, because I love him so much. And I'm going to be doing a tag class in a couple of weeks, and the stamp set is going to be featured. Okay, so I'm going to bring this little guy in. I'm going to ink up my Memento Black. Now you can either leave him the color that he is. I'm just going to put him off to the edge. Okay, or you can color him. And there's actually a couple of different ways that you can color whites onto other colors of cardstock. I'm just going to do my Here's a Cool Yule. You can use the chalk marker, which is a pretty easy tool to use, or with the watercolor pencils. There are Whisper White leads as well. I don't find usually that the Whisper White shows up terribly well. It does give a little, I mean, on darker colors it's way better, but on lighter colors like this one, it's a bit of a challenge to see when you're looking at it directly. But when you push it a little like towards the light or have light reflecting on it, you can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going to give him, I think polar bear pads are black, if I remember correctly. I mean, I live in Manitoba. Churchill is the polar bear capital of the world, and I should know this. But I think because he's cute and little, I'm going to make the pads on his little paws pink, or Calypso Coral. Just add a little tiny bit of color to him. All right, so now he's finished. And I think we're going to add a little bit of glitter to this little guy too. And I'm going to use the blue gems in this one. And I'm going to use 3. I'm going to put one up here. I really like doing gems in the corner. It just adds a little bit of interest and a little bit of sparkle. Okay, now, when you put your card on, or your tag or your sentiment or whatever you're using to decorate it, you need to make sure that your gift card is not going to fall out. So this is how I want to do mine. So I'm going to put this little guy here. I'm going to lay him flat. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal. Oops, get it started. I'm just going to do a couple of lines. And I think I'm going to add some, actually, I'm going to hang it straight. Actually, I'm going to hang it at an angle. So I'm going to put this little guy so he's kind of in the center. And then I'm going to bring in a little piece of, oops, the Night of Navy ribbon. And I should have done this before I put the card on the front. Okay, come on. There we go. I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm just going to loop it. I'm not going to tie it this time. Oops. All right, come on, fingers, work with me. I think I should do this as part of my physio. All right. And then to add a little bit of interest, I'm just going to cut these guys at an angle. Oops. And at a downward angle for that one. Okay, now because he's going to hang on the tree, I'm going to bring in my hole punch. I'm just using a regular office hole punch for this one. I do have the tri-punch that I can use too, but I just wanted, this one's handier. So I'm going to bring it down. I'm not going to do it right close to the top because I don't want it to pull through. So I'm just going to give it a punch. Take off a length of ribbon. Pull it through, and then I'm just going to knot it. And then this one can be hung on the tree. I think I might actually make different ones for my kids for Christmas. You can also use different sized punches or dies. The circle die with a half circle would be really cool, or even the triangle dies that Stampin' Up! Has this year would be super fun. So there you have it. We've got one that can be hung on the tree and a second one that can be sent through the mail. Super fast, super easy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or any comments, comment down below, and don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to be notified every single time a new video uploads. And I'm going to be doing polls on my Facebook page regularly for not only my Friday video, but for my how do I use it as well. So how do I use it will be posted on Sundays, and the Friday video poll will be posted on Wednesdays. I hope to see you guys soon, and have a fabulous day.